welcome back to the floor of the CWCB Expo here in New York at the Javits Center. And I've talked already about the people that I recognize immediately and some who actually have recognized me immediately and want to come over and say hello. And it's been great. It's been kind of nonstop. So it's been fun for me, certainly, but especially when I run into the gentleman that is sitting next to me right now, because we grew up together. And if anybody has friends that you've been friends with people for 50 years, that kind of dates us, Jeff. I have to put the mic. This is a directional mic. Do you feel like you've known me for 50 years?
All I remember is that you could hit a baseball a lot farther than I could, but I think I could swim faster than you.
No doubt. I hate swimming, but I like that. That actually, the fact that you remember I could hit. I told the guy I was just talking to that the way you introduced me is flattering to me. It has nothing to do with the accolades of the network. It's the fact that I turned you on to the Allman Brothers in 1973.
It's a true statement. It's a true statement. You were my musical renaissance.
Wow. I gotta adjust this a little bit here. Here we go. All right. You know, it's we're in the field. We're in the field and we're learning by doing. Jeff is the CEO of Arcview, one of the oldest and largest, if not the oldest and largest investment fund that's out there. He's based in New York City. Jeff, has it been amazing to watch what's been going on in your backyard over the last, I don't even know when the last time I saw you in the fall. So 8 months ago?
Well, look, the attention to New York is insane, as you can see. Certainly the rollout has not been on pace with the interest for a lot of reasons, but I think very easy to sit here and criticize the OCM and the regulatory bodies in the state.
That's why they're created. That's what they're
you know what? It's hard, but they're well-meaning and they're principled and they're really trying to do it right. I don't agree with a lot of policy, but they're trying to do it right. It's not easy. It's not easy.
And to be honest, no state really has gotten it right so that other states can replicate it. They actually have to learn by doing and asking people in the industry, asking other regulators in other states. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. And everybody, I agree with you, is trying to get it right. But Jeff, between the banking issues, between the capital, between the applications for social equity applicants that get to go to the front of the line, I mean, there's so many moving parts in this industry, economically, sociologically, chemistry, scientifically. It's overwhelming how deep this industry has become in just a short period of time.
It's deeply nuanced, for sure. And as I said, OCM, when you're drafting regs, you've got a lot of considerations, a lot of different interest groups to please. Look, I would say, again, philosophically, what they're trying to do is the right thing to do. Be social equity focused, be an industry of small providers to keep big canna, away and not giving them the ability to dominate. But I would say to you, in doing that, in the protective provisions in the regs, sometimes the pendulum swings too far, and sometimes you break the very thing that you're trying to help. And I think there's evidence of that here. But again, it's not an easy Rubik's Cube to solve here.
No, it is not. And I'm going to give myself a shameless plug again. I am teaching a course on getting to normalization with Stockton University here in New Jersey, or in the New Jersey area, tri-state area, wherever. New York is the center of the universe. I get it. Okay. I mean, I'm from Boston. It takes a lot for me to actually understand, to admit that, but it's true. Tell me a little bit about what Arcview is up to. I know you guys have run a couple of very successful investment forums, and you've been in Miami, you've been in the West Coast, you've been in New York. What's on the calendar for Arcview over the next few months?
So I'll give a full overview, but let me just ask you at the outset. You attended our New York Investor Conference. Yeah. How was it? Did you enjoy it?
I liked the investor conference. I would love it if there was a way to tell you that, oh yeah, and I met my funder there and they're doing great. No, that didn't happen. But I met a couple of people that I'm doing business with, which, as you know, is what these things really are about.
Good. Great. All right. So quick overview of Arcview. All right. Let me sort of frame that from what we were to what we've become. Yep. So founded in 2010 by Troy Dayton and Steve D'Angelo, right? through the lens of advocacy with the notion of freeing the planet. And I think they quickly realized in order to do that, they had to sort of nurture the economic growth of the industry, right? So how do you do that? Well, this is what they did. They started forums where investors could meet aspiring companies, right? Those forums grew from 20 people around a conference room table to 500, 600 person events 5 times a year. But the business model was that as an event producer and an investor network. Accredited investors would pay a fee to come to events and see companies. And that's essentially what Arcview was through 2019. Any questions?
Not yet. Keep going.
All right. 2019, Entourage Effect Capital, one of the leading growth capital funds in the industry, came in, took a dominant position in Arcview with the idea that we should take this great brand, this brand that facilitated over $350 million of investment in over 200 companies, but participate at the transaction level. So we started a broker dealer to be able to have companies, get a fee on bringing investors and companies together for financing. We started a principal investing group called Arcview Ventures. We have a fund that we invest out of. And then we started a consulting company called Arcview Management Consulting. So that now, in addition to sort of our core event and bringing people together and facilitating, we're making money at the transaction level. So all of those businesses are at varying degrees of maturity and scale. But that's what we're doing. We're really trying to nurture really 4 different business units if you add sort of the core event business. And that's what we're focused on.
When's the next one in New York? Do you know? You can probably share that with me.
So we haven't planned it, but what I will tell you, and we have not said this publicly yet,
Well,
but
you are now.
we've reached an agreement in principle to partner with Lyft. So Lyft was the Canadian MJ Biz, right?
Right. Okay.
So in fact, the Lyft Toronto conference is going on right now in Toronto. My partner, Gene Sullivan, is speaking on stage there. I love it, right?
Yep.
They do Vancouver, they do Toronto, and they most recently acquired the NCIA show in California, which is now going to be called Lyft US. So we are doing a deal with Lyft where we're going to have the Arcview Investor Summit be a one-day track or conference at Lyft San Francisco, August 2nd through August 4th. I think our day will be the 3rd. So we're going to be part of a broader conference, expecting over 3,500 people to come. And we're going to be part of that conference and leverage all the infrastructure of Lyft.
I'm so glad they have a CEO who can, deal with all this stuff, because it sounds like you have a very busy week, every month. I mean, you're nonstop. And as you look back at your journey in turning Arcview, actually, let me rephrase that, turning it back on. Is that accurate? Good way to describe it?
I think to some degree, post-COVID, we turned it back on.
Yeah.
But I would say the way I would phrase it is an effort to proliferate the brand.
Okay.
That's sort of what we're trying to accomplish.
All right. Well, we're big with the branding here too. You know what's going on in this industry right now. There's a ton of doom and gloom predictions out there. There's, you hear the access to capital is drying up, and okay. So, oh, great. Somebody's sending me photos in the middle of the show. I'm like, really? Really? Okay. Thank you so much. Good ones. I don't know. I'm not going to open them because I'm focused on talking to my friend Jeff here. Is it really doom and gloom? Is there still investment funding available? Has it changed as far as the structure of the deal right now? That perhaps is a really good question. Perhaps.
So I would say 2 things. Certainly the supply and demand for investment capital are way out of balance. There's definitely not enough money, but let's not say there's no money. And look, Jimmy, you were there in New York. We put 15 VC funds on stage in a reverse pitch. We had them tell the audience the name of the fund, total assets under management, the average check size, the subsectors they focus on, and what they value in entrepreneurs. They introduced themselves to the audience. So people coming away from that session at our conference got the sense that, yes, capital out. There's not a lot. It's not easy to get. And the terms are not traditional, but there is capital out there.
If you were structuring a new deal for a new company, an imaginary company, okay, and they had an offer on the table for a seed round, what can you define, or is there a definition of what a seed round? We know when it is. The question is, how big does it have to be, or is there an industry standard, I guess?
So the terms are sometimes used interchangeably, but I'll tell you the way that I think about it. Okay. Let's say we're a tech software company servicing the cannabis industry. We're not a grower. So you and I have the idea today, we're going to start this business. You're a coder, you code at night. Do you code? Okay. So we'll say hypothetically.
Unless I could take out my inner underdog, okay, and find my little code thing that he used to have. Sorry.
All right. So you code at night, hypothetically. I know the customer space. Like I know the needs and requirements for the customer. So we have this idea, it's you and me. All right. We're both working day jobs and we need to get going. So to me, that's pre-seed. That's discovery. So maybe you and I each pitch in 20 grand and we start to do a little bit of work. Maybe you hire a sub-programmer. I go out and do some interviews with customers. And from there, we get data. Now, when that data suggests that this could be a business, then we go out and raise what I call a seed round. And the goal of the seed round is to take that early data and our work and build an MVP, a minimally viable product. Okay? Just to get something out there. Yeah. And with that, we're going to learn things like, what will people pay for it? Like, what's the closing sales cycle? Like all those things. That's what we do with seed money, right? Then from there, once we turn that seed money into sort of positive data, and we actually have a little bit of a business, then we go out and raise our Series A. Right. So we'll call it early growth round to sort of move forward and operationalize all that we've done. So that's my view. That's how I cut it down. And I have a more rigid definition than most, but that's the way to think about it.
No, and I appreciate it because you've enlightened me so much on so many things when it comes to this world of finance and capital and all this. Is there a signal of a business that they should look for when it's like, okay, we're ready, we've gone through our seed round? Is there a signal? Let's do an A round. How do you know when the next step? Is there a revenue thing? I mean, tell me, how do you know it? Okay, we've gone through our seed round. Now it's time for the A round.
So if the goal of the seed round is to develop the MVP, get it out there and get data from it, it's what the data tells us, right? Now, that could be a lot of different things. It could be people will pay between $10,000 and $15,000 a year, and you can close these deals in 3 months. So sales cycle, amount, distribution is clear. There's enough things that say, it's kind of like when you played Monopoly. It's just about when you want to put your house on Boardwalk and Park Place, right? Just about when the other guy's coming around, when he's ready to roll the dice and you're within 6 steps away, he might land there. That's when you invest. So the 6 steps away is akin to sort of all these data points that suggest that with now early growth capital, this will actually be a business.
Well, as usual, we have great insight, great guests, and Jeff, we're friends, and
You gotta teach me how to hit lefty.
I can teach you. Oh, I could teach anybody anything when it comes to sports. It's the financial world that I have no clue on, and getting to normalization. Through public relations, fighting the stigma is a perfect name of a course for me, and I'm really looking forward to it. And again, I know I'm stumping here a lot for this course, but they just announced it like a week ago, and we'll do it if we have 10 people. I'm like 10. I did create a video, but now, of course, it's a university, so all the lawyers have to check it out to make sure I say all the right things because
Might not.
you bet. And I have in the past, so they know my reputation. Anyway, Jeff, any plugs you want to give to what's coming up next for Arcview, or a recent investment of yours that you saw that too, that you might want to give a plug to, something you're really excited about?
Yeah, well, we're about to fund a deal that's deep in the CBN space, the minor cannabinoid space.
Love CBN.
For
Every
sleep,
night.
they've got a sleep study, a deep first one, real sleep study, and that we're also going to go the pharma route in that company because there's implications beyond the CBN that they've uncovered. So there's a drug discovery piece and then just an ingredient provider piece to that business. But if I was going to plug anything, we're going to be doing a webinar And if you want to reach out to me, I'll get you the dates. I think it's the 16th of June. It's going to be a regulatory update to see what's going on, as there's been a lot of sort of momentum in Washington, and get a real sense from Michael Correa from
I love
the NCIA. Yeah,
Oh my
Mike's the regulatory guy,
God.
and
He never met a microphone he didn't like, Jeff.
but he has got something to say, so
Yeah,
that
no,
makes it
great.
okay.
That's why I love him. I love
So
him for that.
we're going to sponsor a webinar and get a real update to our audience, and so that's the thing I would love.
Terrific. All right. Hey, Jeff Finkle from Arcview. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it.
pleasure,
Always.
Jimmy.
I
Always
can't,
good to see you.
it's good to see you too. We'll get caught up off air, as they say.